Hey everybody, this is Dr. William Clark, the host of the Dr. William Clark podcast. Glad to be with you for another podcast and wanted to come on really quickly, short podcast today, just to check on you guys and see how you guys are doing in the midst of this pandemic. And lately, I've been recording a couple of episodes focused on job searching, job development. That is what that's the focus of the nonprofit I'm a part of. That's what we do. My team and I, we focus on the development rather of job searching skills, job readiness skills, job placement skills, job retention skills, etc. And we're spending this time just encouraging people to continue to go on their job search journey. And certainly, in our world, in our business, there are a ton of people who are still looking for work, who still have interviews as we speak, and who are preparing for it. One of the things that we're talking about a lot is getting ready for, especially if you have not gotten used to it, the virtual element of job searching, and that is being on interviews virtually, right? The first and second round being virtual. And there was a time where for some people it's normal, but for a lot of people it's not normal. It might have been extenuating circumstances that have maybe ushered that in, but it's not a normal that people are actually used to. And given the changes that are happening in our culture, changes that are happening in our society, certainly this is a huge change for a lot of people who are saying, you know what? I simply just want to continue my journey. However, that journey of finding the right job, of finding the right place to be, must include a sense of virtuality to it, a virtualness to it, technology. And with all that said, check out all those podcasts that have been released. We released a podcast talking about working from home, and that's certainly been a hit for people who have had the opportunity to check it out. If you haven't done so, you can do so on my podcast and platform, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, or wherever you're listening to this podcast. Go ahead and search it. But one of the things I do want to encourage people to do, and I've done this a few times over the past week or two during the pandemic as things have gotten tightened up and people are making adjustments, and that is encouraging you during this time of transition and shifting. Please own this moment. I want you to own this moment, and I want you to focus on what you've been dreaming about and what you wanted to do. One of the things as we launched our work from home platform for our team, we looked at a lecture that I gave on program recruitment, and I was talking about how program recruitment is the fastest way to fundraising. If you want to check out that class, just go to mysixfigurefunding.com. You can go ahead and enroll in what you should know before grant writing and any other classes I have available where I talk about this. But as I was talking and teaching on that topic, I was reflective on something that I had set forward for myself 3 years ago. And that was among all the other goals that I've set for myself and the team that I was leading, was for us to obviously raise more money, increase our profile, change the hearts and minds of what people thought about us and felt about us. But then there was this idea about how can we become a workforce development agency in multiple spots, increasing our parallel offered courses to 12. How can we run 12 courses at one time, 12 classes, 12 cohorts, 12 groups at one time around the state? And I remember as I thought through how to make that happen and what we need to do to implement that and make that a reality, I remember going through all types of strategies. And just like everyone else, my strategies were designed for a normal that existed. One of the strategies I thought about that I just could not make happen due to time restraints, other things that were just popping up in our business, was talking about how do we do this virtually? Like, what does that look like? And we were introducing, a number of platforms to our customers, but they weren't necessarily in line with what I was thinking. And so as we were playing back this lecture, which was a recent lecture actually, and I was reflecting on that particular strategy, and one of the statements I made was, perhaps we'll get to it in one day. I recorded this lecture in January of 2020. So we're playing it back 2 months later, and I said, man, maybe one day we'll get to it. And then I move on to my next point. And so as I was re-listening to that lecture and I was processing what was said, obviously by me, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. We just heard what I just said. And as a team, we heard what I said through a virtual platform where we're all working from home, all plugged in via a virtual platform. Wow. And we were also talking about how to bring our program, our work to our clients through a virtual platform that's easy for them to access. Wow. Then about a day or two ago, as we were just continuing to work through things and we were on a different topic, someone made a comment that made me reflect yet again on this idea of virtualization and how do we distribute and share our core program to the masses around the state and still get my goal of 12. And as this idea came to me yesterday, it became super clear how we're going to do it. And it's one of those things where you just say, man, how come I didn't think about that before? How come and it's such a simple solution. But here's the truth though. We were all stuck in a normal that consumed our time, that consumed our energy, that consumed our thought process, our creative juices. And when a normal consumes us, when our everyday life, our everyday business consumes us, it does become challenging to think about the possibilities, to dream, and to make dreams a reality. And what I am very appreciative of during this moment, during this season, is the opportunity to slow some things down, figure out how we want to move forward, and to rethink about things or strategize around things that were difficult to strategize around before. Now, it took us a couple of weeks to kind of come to this conclusion, and to be honest, distributing our program virtually wasn't even on the radar 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. But it came up, right? And here we are. And I'm super excited about the idea that we're percolating right now. All that to say, as a listener of this podcast, as someone who's dedicated to chiming in and listening in and plugging in and being a part of the journey of talking about nonprofit stuff, nonprofit leadership, nonprofit fundraising, nonprofit development, nonprofit recruitment, nonprofit program development, nonprofit this and that. As someone plugged into that journey, both mine and yours, use this time wisely. Think about the things that have been on your to-do list, your vision board for your nonprofit career, for your ministry, for your church, for whatever you're doing. Think about those things that have been on the to-do list that have yet to be checked off. And this downtime is a huge, and I mean huge, opportunity for you to revisit what you can do differently to make that thing a reality. Don't waste it. Use it. Leverage it. Use it to move forward. Use it to power forward. Use this time to really reimagine. For those of you listening to this podcast and you want to enter into this space as a leader, as an employee of a nonprofit, listen, we welcome you. We need all the talent we can get on our side of the fence. Use this downtime to think intentionally and strategically about where you can add value. And to all of us who listen to this podcast, no matter what we talk about on this podcast over the years, at the end of the day, everything we talk about is about our customers. If you're not here to serve the customers, if you're not here to improve your community, if you're not here to make things better, to make things different, then I think you need to reevaluate why you're in this business. Whether it's about the fundraising, the leadership, the program development, etc., it's all about the customer. And so I encourage you to make that the focus. With that being said, I invite you to stay tuned to this podcast. This is Dr. William Clark for the Dr. William Clark Podcast. We'll see you in the next episode.